Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alexander Gordon Johans, and today we read out. We do the dramatic reading of the second part of Laura, Queen of Earth, the quasi-canonical Podquisition fanfic. This, of course, is dedicated to the hosts of the Podquisition, Laura Queen Queen of Butts, Jim fucking Sterling's son, and of course, Gavin Dunn, the Miracle Sound. So without further ado, let's continue the story. 6 weeks passed, and during that time, a proper plant farm was set up. The RAF grew to 30 pterodactyls. The cavalry force grew by 60. The mermaid navy grew to 20. The special sylphs who had burned as they shrank were now nearly up to size again. Jim's security forces were now kitted out with syringes so that any difficult customers were added to the farm stock. Ivana's military were now using bone swords and clubs. Gavin had become quite good at using the quantum oscillator for cheap tricks. Eve was now pregnant, and Laura had succeeded in taking over London. The workforces trying to break through the tarmac at Heathrow Airport were not having much luck though. "That's going to be the death of us," said Jim. "We can't break through concrete. We are fucked if our enemy takes any kind of defensive measure that isn't using people as shields." Laura was more positive. "I don't know. I mean, we're offering free food to everyone. We've got the pill to allow people to change genitalia whenever they like, and Gavin is just fucking awesome. I don't think we're going to need advanced weaponry." "Yeah, but we are supposed to fight the Logicios," said Gavin. "And sooner or later, the power is going to go out, and then we are fucked. Right back to the Stone Age." "The internet is going to die," said Jim. "That is fucking terrifying." "Well, we own London, right?" said Laura. "Lots of smart people in London. Lots of waste and metal too. Not to mention a lot of solar panels and wind turbines. We tell them, our royal smart people, to take whatever they can scavenge and turn it into generating more electricity. We're talking wind turbines, incinerators, get the sylphs getting the daily exercise on bikes to provide electricity. Heck, while we're at it, let's start up some carbon-fueled power stations too. Climate change doesn't mean shit if we know there's a multiverse that will come to save us when we beat off the Logicios. Simple. Job done. Good bit of queeniness." "Yeah, but everything is so connected nowadays," said Gavin. "Nowhere just makes anything. Everywhere is dependent on everywhere else, and that entire infrastructure is just dead or dying." "Then our royal smart people will get on it," said Laura. "It'll be fine. Just chill, alright? I'm queen. I've got this." Jim was out patrolling when he heard a voice cry out, "Jim!" Jim looked around himself nervously, figuring out places to run and hide. "Jim Sterling!" Jim figured it was coming from behind him and turned to look in that direction. A small figure was running towards him. "Jim fucking Sterling, son!" Jim could see what the man looked like now. He wore a bedraggled three-piece suit and a fedora, and he was running at Jim. "Yes! Hello!" cried Jim, readying his bone club. The man stopped within 100 meters and held his hand up. "Sorry if I spooked you." "How did you see me?" asked Jim, not ready to put away the bone club yet. "It's a long story," said the strange man. "I feel I should introduce myself." "Well, that is how my meetings with fans normally go," said Jim. "And believe me, I am a fan. Fist shark marketing. Oh, it does crack me up. And Conrad Zimmerman. That man has such a sexy voice. And such a cool name," said the man. "Your name?" said Jim, more sternly now. "The Farshnook," cried the man, and he charged at Jim, knocking him flat. Jim braced for the hard slap and crack of a bad fall onto tarmac, but no such sensation came. He opened his eyes, All he saw was green. An endless, infinite canvas of green. It was like the ocean or space, but green. The Farshnook pulled Jim to his feet, and Jim screamed when he realised nothing was supporting him. "Where the fuck are we?" asked Jim desperately. "Welcome to nothingness, Mr. Sterling," said the Farshnook grandly. "This is the space between the universes. This is what lies outside of your thin bubble of reality." "But Laura needs me," said Jim. "Gavin needs me. I've got a bloody Jimquisition to make." "I'll take you back. Don't worry," said the Farshnook. "I just wanted to show you I was legit." "So how is this happening?" asked Jim. "Or will knowing send me mad?" The Farshnook chuckled. "Logic, Jim. That's how this works. Every thinking being exudes logic. That is how I can see like an aura. Your logic tells you that down is ground, and since you didn't fall, it must still be ground." "And that's how you found me," said Jim. "You saw my aura." "Yes and no," said the Farshnook. "I saw her aura, that of the great prophetess. Lucy Dance's aura is writ large throughout the multiverse, especially our tiny pocket of it, and there are big plans for her. She made you swear an oath of allegiance that I wouldn't tame Laura, Queen of Mirth, but she didn't count on two things. One, I am, technically speaking, a non-gendered sapient universe soul-bonded with a gay man called Frederick Hansen in this incarnation, so there is no way in the entire great green nothingness that I would ever fuck with someone who has stared into the long, dark tea time of gender identity. And two, a man who swears to do anything to protect another to the great prophetess is lit up like a fucking Christmas tree. You are mighty champion, Jim Sterling. I cannot help but recognise that and seek you out so I might offer my services." Jim blinked, and they were back in London. "I still don't trust you," said Jim. "I should hope not. You swore before the great prophetess," said the Farshnook with a wry smile. "But nonetheless, how may I help you?" Jim asked, "What do you know about explosives?" "You realise nuke is literally my name," said the Farshnook with a chuckle. "Okay," said Jim. "You can come, but if you so much as flirt with the Queen, I am beating you until you scream." The Farshnook nodded. That seems like a very sensible idea. The Farshnook walked with Jim back to the hotel and admired the pterodactyls, mermaids, and thoroughbreds as he passed them. As they entered the hotel, a short brunette passed by, and the Farshnook raised his fedora to her. She paused and turned to look at him. "Do you seriously have a fedora on your head? You know they're like the international symbol of misogynistic douchebag." "Why, thank you," said the Farshnook. "Believe me, I chose it very deliberately. Let my prey have a sporting chance to run before I collar them." "Creepy," said the woman, and she strode on. Jim stared at him. "Did you mean that?" The Farshnook shrugged and entered the building. Jim knocked on the door of the throne room and entered. The Farshnook followed. Laura was sitting in her office chair as two women made love to each other on the table before her. "Bad time?" asked Jim. "Oh no," said Laura. "I just got chatting to this couple and they expressed their wish to have sex in front of me and I thought, fuck it, it kills half an hour. Who is this?" The Farshnook removed his fedora and went down on bended knee before Laura. "I am the Farshnook, O Queen of Mirth." Laura stared. "The Farshnook?" "A Farshnook," said the Farshnook. "And why are you here?" asked Laura. "I think I can help. I wish to serve you," said the Farshnook. "Okay," said Laura, and she removed a collar from her pocket. "Then I dub you legally my property." Laura secured the collar around the Farshnook's neck and said, "Now, go make us some explosives." "At once, Your Majesty," said the Farshnook, and so saying, he turned and walked out of the room. Jim raised an eyebrow. "You keep collars in your pockets now?" "I'm Queen," said Laura. "I have maids. I get hungry." Jim stared at Laura, then sighed and walked out of the room. When they were outside, the Farshnik said, "I need to see your farm." Jim said, "You? In a room full of naked, hopelessly submissive and obedient women? Yeah, not going to happen." The Farshnik strode into the farm and was overwhelmed by the aromas and auras. A fuck-ton of sylphs stood on their hands and knees as men and women walked through them, slicing them, milking them, bleeding them, and removing their bones. Even their shit was shoveled up and carried away. "Oh yeah," said the Farshnik. "Smell that?" Jim held a hanky over his nose and mouth as he said, "I'm trying not to, mate." "That is explosives," said the Farshnik. "Methane and other noxious gases. We just need to get that and distill it down." "We need the shit for the farm," said Jim. "Besides, it's fucking dangerous." The Farshnik nodded. "We'll have to start smaller." "How?" asked Jim. "I need an albino sylph scroll and Lucy's notes," said the Farshnik. The Farshnik and Jim each had a pint of blood to drink as they looked over Lucy's notes in a set-aside laboratory. The Farshnik wondered aloud, why would they include the gender transitions? Jim glared at the Farshnik. "Are you seriously asking why someone would want to help people with dysphoria?" "No," said the Farshnik, rising out of his chair and starting to pace the room. "I'm saying that the albino sylph scroll was designed by a dying race to be their key to survival by letting them achieve a state of perfect exploitability. The people with this level of technology would no doubt already have the ability to transcend the gender binary. This is their last message to creation, their last desperate hope for survival. So why would they include the gender transition potions?" "Because they're nice and they wanted to fling a light into the future," suggested Jim. "Good idea, but wrong trajectory. I need to do some tests," said the Farshnik. The Farshnik mixed up about 30 potions and left the room. When he returned, he said, "I think I might have it." "Well, go on then," said Jim. "The potions don't just force a complete genetic rewrite. They leave the soul, the literal, logical signifier, and all your memories intact. You change utterly, yet the person you are remains exactly the same," said the Farshnik. "Yes, we know that," said Jim. "So why include it if you weren't planning to make use of that ability?" said the Farshnik. "I think this is a cure." Jim stared at him. "You are kidding." "It's only a hypothesis," said the Farshnik, "but give me half an hour." Jim stared as he left. The Farshnik returned with a beautiful brunette on his arm. "This is Anna. Jim, say hello." Jim waved. "Hi." "This is really exciting," said Anna. "An actual god." "I know," said Jim. "It's unbelievable, isn't it?" "And check out that arse," said Anna. Jim nodded. "Anna is going to be our little test subject," said the Farshnik. "I am going to turn her into the one of the cattle." Anna giggled, remembering the next part. "And then I'm going to strip naked and be all submissive and obedient." The Farshnik smiled and stroked Anna's cheek with fondness. "And then I'm going to remove and destroy Anna's brain. At this point, if he's wrong, I die," said Anna casually. "But let's face it, the Legicios are coming, so that's no biggie. And if I'm right," said the Farshnik with a smile, "I will dose you with the transition to female pill, and you will be back to normal. And I will be free to go about my life," said Anna. "Or accept a collar and become my pet," said the Farshnik hopefully. "Or I could do that," said Anna, and she giggled. "You want to pet me?" The Farshnik blushed. "Go on, just a stroke," said Anna. The Farshnik tentatively stroked Anna's head and grinned childishly. Jim stared at the Farshnik. "What I don't get is why you have to destroy her brain." Anna shrugged and whispered, "Keep stroking." The Farshnik explained, "You are your body. If I gave you female sex organs and dumped female sex hormones into your body, you would come to feel and act like a woman. But you would still know, in your soul, that you weren't what you should be. Equally, I could perform surgery on a sylph to return them to human basic, and over time they would come to feel and act like a person, but inside they would still be a sylph. Now, we already know that the sylphs break laws of reality, so what I want to know is, will the cure restore the soul to the way it should be? Anna probably wouldn't actually die if I was wrong, but there would be no way any latent biology could reassert itself after the genetic reset and so give a false positive, meaning that when Anna was restored to human basic, she would still have the mind of a sylph. Effectively brain dead, said Anna. And you're okay with this, said Jim. Really, I can call him off if you want. Anna shrugged. I've got a degree in performing arts, and we are now apparently a queendom looking to take over the world. What the fuck am I going to do with my life? Jim sighed. Fine, you do you. Anna smiled. Ready? The Farshnik looked into her face and said, yeah, you don't want any last words, a last supper, or a last orgasm? Nah, said Anna. Good luck. I mean, if this goes wrong, you're the poor bugger who has to stick around and deal with the consequences. The Farshnik nodded. I'll be fine. Then he handed her a glass of disgusting looking and smelling liquid. Bottoms up, said Anna, and she chugged it. Can I have something to wash it down and clear up my mouth? Asked Anna. The Farshnik handed her his pint of blood. She glugged it down greedily, then licked her lips. She handed the glass back inside. Feel a bit awkward now, just sort of standing here, waiting to turn to herself and have my brains bashed out. Anybody here play video games? Jim grinned. Yeah, you could say that. I only fucking review them for a living. Jim fucking Sterling's son, pleased to meet you. Anna Guinevere Johnson, pleased to meet you, said Anna. They shook hands. The Farshnik watched Anna and silently counted in his head. Anna began. See, I really liked Metal Gear Solid, right? But Konami can eat a box of dicks because they treat their stuff like shit and they fuck up beloved franchises because all they care about are pachinko machines, finished Jim Sterling. Exactly, said Anna. I mean, they keep bringing Hideo Kojima back only to piss him off again. Just let the series die. Well, exactly, said Jim. Do you play any other games? Partial to CSGO, Battlefield. Oh, and Mass Effect is awesome, except the ending and fuck their DLC practices, said Anna. Jim stared. Oh, she is awesome. Keep her. The Farshnik finished counting and studied Anna. Sorry, gents, said Anna. I think this is goodbye, but it's been a pleasure. Then a goofy grin slid across her face and she turned to the Farshnik. I feel hot. Master. I can help you with that, said the Farshnik. And he began to undress Anna. Jim turned to stare at the wall and hummed his theme tune to himself so he didn't overhear what was going on. When Anna was completely naked and standing on all fours before him, the Farshnik sliced off a bit of her ass and watched. When he saw Anna's ass heel, he knew she had properly turned. Jim, you might want to leave the room. Grab some fresh air, go for a walk, have a drink. Jim nodded. I think you might possibly be right. Jim got up and left the room. The Farshnik picked up his tools and set to work. He used a hammer and chisel to crack the skull in a circle, then used a knife to cut through anything aside from the bone itself that might hold the top of the skull in place. Then he cantilevered the top of the skull off Anna's head, exposing her brain. She nuzzled him, and the Farshnik remembered that he needed to be quick lest her body heal and set him back in his progress. He ran the long, flexible knife around the inside of her skull and felt sick. Then he stabbed at her brain with the chisel and pulled. It was caught, of course, so the Farshnik cut away anything that might be holding Anna's brain inside her skull until at last he pulled it free. He swiftly placed the top of Anna's skull back on her head, and now he wanted her to heal. A stupid part of the Farshnook considered taking a selfie with the brain to show Anna later, but no, there was a job to be done. He had to destroy the brain. He had a mincer with him for making sausages. He didn't think twice. The brain was minced, but that wasn't enough. Sylphs could heal beyond the capacity ascribed by physics. The Farshnook took the minced brain into the kitchen and charred it under the stove. Then he smashed the blackened detritus with a rolling pin until only ash and dust remained of Anna's brain. The Farshnook returned to his laboratory and saw that Anna's skull had indeed healed. Now he had a quandary. When would he know Anna's body had grown a new brain? He stroked her face and asked her, "Hey girl, how do you feel?" Anna shrugged. "All right, master. Did you get what you wanted out of my head?" "Yes," said the Farshnook, "but I can't do what I want with you until I know everything's okay in there." "Then have another look," said Anna. "I don't mind." The Farshnook smiled sadly. "No, you really don't, do you?" "Something wrong?" asked Anna. The Farshnook shrugged. "Just conscience. It's fine." The Farshnook went to the bar and ordered a tumbler of whiskey. The man next to the Farshnook at the bar said, "Nice fedora." "Thank you," said the Farshnook. "Apparently, because dicks are associated with it, I am not allowed to wear it." The man said, "That is so mean. Come, you must drink with us. It's Eric's birthday." The Farshnook sighed. "Fine, but I should warn you, I can get a little impulsive when I drink." "Oh, come on. It'll be fine," said the man. The Farshnook entered his laboratory with the man. They were stonking each other and tearing at each other's clothes. The man asked, "Why is there a naked woman in your room?" "I'm gay, but I keep women as pets," said the Farshnook. "Fair enough," said the man as he turned his rear on the Farshnook and started grinding. Jim Sterling returned to find the Farshnook and the man passed out half naked on the floor. Jim coughed. "Been busy, I see." "I'll find you," said the Farshnook as the man gathered up his clothes and ran off. Jim stared at the Farshnook. "It's hard, okay," said the Farshnook. "You try destroying the brain of someone you consider a beloved pet. It is not easy." "Whatever," said Jim. "Just finish the job and put some fucking pants on." The Farshnook sighed and got dressed. Then he mixed a fresh female genetic reset and held it before Anna. "Anna, Honeybean, drink this. It'll make you feel better." Anna drank the potion. The Farshnook silently counted down in his head as he stroked Anna's head. When the count reached 0, he announced, "This is it. Time's up." The potion should have taken effect by now. This is when we find out if I have just murdered a very cute woman I should have liked to look after. Anna blinked. She stretched and felt a horrible taste in her mouth. "Can I have some blood, please? I can still taste the potion." Jim handed Anna his drink. "Thank you," said Anna, and she sat on her ass to drink. The Farshnook started to cry. Anna handed the drink back to Jim and stood up so she could hug the Farshnook. "Hey, what's wrong, buddy?" "I thought I killed you," said the Farshnook. "Well, you didn't," said Anna. "You found the cure. Now dry your eyes and collar me." The Farshnook pulled a hanky from his pocket and blew his nose. Then, with a different hanky, he wiped away his tears. He pulled out a collar and secured it round her neck. "See now, that's better," said Anna. "You get a new pet. I don't have to worry about work again. And Jim has someone to talk about video games with. Everyone's a winner." Farshnook nodded. "Thank you. I won't let you down." Then he turned to Jim, a great big smile on his face. "We now have a way to temporarily procure sylph shit for explosives." Jim smirked. "All this so you could get some shit?" The Farshnook shrugged. I'm a Linux user. Going the long way around to make things simpler in future is what we do." Jim Sterling entered the throne room. Laura was standing by the window, staring out into space, with her hands clasped firmly behind her back. Jim, how is my latest acquisition getting along? Good, good, said Jim. He's just discovered a cure. To cancer? Asked Laura. No, to the syphilis, said Jim. Turns out that's what the genetic treatment stuff is supposed to be. It resets the body back to basic human. Shit, said Laura. What? This is awesome, said Jim. Laura turned furious. Jim, my dear friend, do you realise just what a cure means for our queendom? It means people starve! Unless you really think that all those women and logicios kidnapped off the street will be happy to go back to being drugged up cattle who get carved up and bled and milked every day. For fuck's sake, we can't even impose this as a punishment because this shit is biblical. Prometheus only had his liver pecked out by crows every day. We lock those people up in a room, never feed them, take out their intestines, their ribs, their leg and arm bones, their blood and their milk. How the fuck are we supposed to keep this shit together and not look like complete arses? Jim frowned and said, well, the Farshnook did find this out by promising to turn someone into cattle so he could remove and destroy her brain. I mean, this was part of the test, but the point is that he convinced a perfectly normal woman to let him destroy her brain and possibly kill her, and now she's his pet. I think it's just possible that he could convince a good deal of women to remain as cattle and then drive more people to sign up as cattle, if so we can let them go. Laura roared with rage impotently, then groaned. I do not like this, Jim. I do not like being in these moments. I don't want to make the hard decisions, but fuck it. If the Farshnook can solve our little political problem here, then he can have as many damn pets as he likes. The Farshnook, in his three-piece suit, and Anna, naked save for a collar, were crouched on the floor watching shit dry on a plate. Anna was baffled. You brought me back for this? To watch my own shit dry? Well, I like talking to you, said the Farshnook, and you deserve as much free will and agency as possible. But we're watching shit dry, said Anna. Is this like a thing for you? Was 2 goals 1 cup a turn on for you? Never seen it, said the Farshnook. I just need to extract the explosive elements from the shit, and I can't do that until it's dry. And we have to watch it. Why? Asked Anna. Because it's explosive, said the Farshnook. Anna sighed. Fine. So this is us watching shit dry. After a moment, the Farshnook said, is it bad that I kind of want to eat it? Anna cried, yes! And burst out laughing. Well, it looks like a cookie or a curry, said the Farshnook. Anna was in hysterics. But it's shit! The Farshnook sat up. Actually, speaking of eating shit, I haven't said hello to Gavin. Anna stared at the Farshnook. You know someone who eats shit? Oh, he doesn't, but people who say he hates Ubisoft do, said the Farshnook. Apparently they have big parties where they get together, watch his videos, chant, you hate Ubisoft, you hate Ubisoft, and then they eat each other's shit with a splash of Mountain Dew. The Farshnook got to his feet and stroked Anna's back. Come on, I'm going to see Gavin. You're free to get dressed and come with me, or invite someone around to pleasure you. Anna thought for a moment, then said, would a bikini be considered dressed? Gavin was rocking out on stage, teleporting around to create an interesting acoustic effect and crowd surf over everyone. The Farshnook watched in silent awe. This was music a tone-deaf nerd could enjoy. Anna was headbanging with glee. After all, she knew she could regrow her brain if any damage was done. Gavin ended the show and bellowed into the mic. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, all those who do not fit into a simple binary view of gender. I have been Gavin Dunn, and you have been fucking awesome. Rock on! The Farshnook clapped, and Anna whooped. Anna rushed forwards as the crowd left. She found her way to the stage and asked, please can you sign my ass? Gavin frowned. Well, I'm not sure my girlfriend would be so happy. My back then, said Anna. Gavin sighed. Fine. Anna turned around and lifted up the shirt she'd agreed to wear as a compromise. Gavin signed Anna's back with a marked pen and noticed a collar around her neck. "You're a sylph, huh? Who looks after you?" "The man in the fedora and the suit," said Anna. "He wants to speak to you." "You better come backstage then," said Gavin, and he gestured to his crew that the man in the suit and fedora should be shown in. The Farshnook entered into Gavin's dressing room to find Anna with Gavin and nodded approvingly. Gavin looked the Farshnook in the eyes and said as bluntly as possible, "So you keep women as pets, do you?" "Yeah," said the Farshnook, "it's kind of my thing. Also kind of a long story. What I am interested in, and why I came to see you, is that I am the Farshnook, and I am currently trying to make explosives from shit, and I was staring at the shit, resisting a primordial urge to do the stupid and dangerous thing, when I remembered that you were besties with Ubisoft, despite them releasing broken fee-to-pay games with day one DLC and exploitative embargoes." And now Gavin was on high alert, scanning the room, weighing the Farshnook up, doing silent calculations on what he could do with his quantum oscillator, and generally expecting things to kick off. "You see, I know the great prophetess Lucy Dance was here before me, and I know she helped you guys out, and yet Jim doesn't have a quantum oscillator, and Laura doesn't have a quantum oscillator. But Lucy's a clever girl. Big plans for that one. She wouldn't leave the revolution without a Jedi," said the Farshnook. "Luke, I am your father. Give it to me." The Farshnook held out his right hand, palm up. Gavin chuckled. "That's funny. That's really, really funny, because you are exactly why she gave me the quantum oscillator." "Anna, said the Farshnook in a low whisper. "That was an order you did not disobey, unless you were really, really stupid and Anna was smart." The Farshnook and Gavin were left alone in the dressing room, staring at each other. The Farshnook smiled, showing off his teeth. "This is going to be fun." Gavin said, "I'm giving you one last warning. Guy with the magical nuke. Back off." The Farshnook laughed. "I was born in the nothingness, shaped by it. I couldn't blink for 100 universe lifespans. I've fought elder gods and demigods and power-mad conspirators. I am the Farshnook." The Farshnook steps forward. "Back down and give me the quantum oscillator." Gavin quips, "Yeah, but I'm the good guy, so that means I win." He opens up a portal on the wall behind the Farshnook, and a portal beside him, and steps through. The Farshnook turns, laughing. I have the gift of medium awareness. I can see beyond the keystrings, and I think I just might have the advantage given our little story is hosted at farshnook.blogspot.co.uk. Gavin laughs and blasts the Farshnook with a beam of energy. The Farshnook exudes a green aura of energy to absorb it. "Your weapon is logic, and I am the anti-logic. Give up," says the Farshnook. Gavin raises his wand. "I may not be able to affect you directly, but I can make the world affect you. Let's see how you handle a building falling on your head." Jim cries out, "Gavin!" Gavin turns to see Jim and his police officers rattling their bone clubs. "You were given that on the understanding that you wouldn't do these things," said Jim. "But he keeps women as pets," said Gavin. "And I like someone to truss me up like a Christmas turkey and slap me with a wet fish while they call me Betty of a Friday night," said Jim. "What matters is consent, and Anna is most definitely consenting. She agrees that Konami is fucking awful. She is awesome. Oh, and also the man you're currently about to go Godzilla on just discovered the cure to the sylph ball, so he actually made it possible for more people to consent to be sylphs." "But he made a joke about me being besties with Ubisoft," said Gavin. "And there is a plate of shit in his laboratory waiting to be eaten by him as we speak," said Jim. "Calm the fuck down." Gavin sighed and stowed his quantum oscillator. "If I see you within 5 feet of my girlfriend, I am dissecting you atom by atom, you understand?" "Fair enough," said the Farshnook. Jim said, "Oh, by the way, Farshnook, my boy, the High Queen has given you a decree." "What is it?" asked the Farshnook. Jim whispered Laura's instructions to the Farshnook. The Farshnook said, "Look after Anna," and then he strode off with purpose in his step. The Farshnook kicked open the doors of the throne room, bellowing, "Laura, Queen of Arseholes, a word in your shell, like!" He crossed the room in seconds and touched Laura's shoulder. Laura blinked. They were standing in the green of the nothingness beyond the universe. "Okay," said Laura, adjusting quickly. "You're pissed. Why?" The Farshnook glared at her. "Could you just possibly convince all our cattle to choose to continue being cattle so we can pretend we have consent?" "Oh my God," said Laura. "Look, what choice do I have? If I give them an honest choice and they say no, then people starve to death. If I don't give them a choice, then we have a revolt on our hands, and not only do people die, but the Logicios win. We are fucked either way." The Farshnook snapped. "You are supposed to be better than that." Laura stood up angrily and realised that there had been no chair for her to sit on. No, this was you," she said. "You created the Logicios. You sent Lucy on her mission. Do not blame the woman who had to try and clear up your shit for making unsavoury compromises to achieve the greatest good for the greatest majority." The Farshnook stared at Laura. "This wasn't me! This was absolutely nothing to do with me!" "Farscape," cried Laura. "You heard me. I'm going nerd full on your ass. Do you or do you not love Farscape?" "Yes," said the Farshnook, irritated. "Do you or do you not ship Aronson and John Quarrington?" said Laura. The Farshnook raked his hands over his face in frustration and admitted, "To my dying breath." Laura smiled sadistically. The Farshnook founded the Logicios in his image. The Farshnook sent Lucy on her journey. The Farshnook created the clusterfuck I am dealing with now. Hell, for all I know, there's some eldritch-stained idiot chronicling this right now, and he probably has the Farshnook as his fucking internet brand. The Farshnook calls this every last line of its disastrousness. Are you, or are you not, the Farshnook? The Farshnook turned away in shame and screamed with rage. Laura sighed. "I've never claimed to be perfect. I'm human. I make mistakes. I fuck up and I offend people and I make compromises. No wonder you're obsessed with self. You're obsessed with perfection." The Farshnook sighed, the anger draining out of him at the truth of Laura's words. He paced for a bit. "What is this place anyway?" asked Laura. The Farshnook chuckled sadly to himself as he explained. "Every star that ever was, every world, every religion, every gender, and every story." He stopped and spread his arms out wide. "This is the multiverse, where all reality is kept." His arms flopped to his side as he chuckled. "This is it where you will find a world where I am not a stupid, obnoxious arsehole. Sorry." Then he strode to a place and pointed to what looked like fireworks in the distance. "And that there is the front line of the forever war between the Septagonoids and the Logicios. The reason you have to make those compromises." "And if they ever lose?" said Laura, watching the fireworks. "Nothing," said the Farshnook bitterly. "Ever." Laura sighed. "What the fuck do we matter before those stakes?" "We don't," said the Farshnook. "Not individually, not as a minority, but 100 million universes crying out in condemnation and defiance. That matters. Which is why you've got such big plans for Lucy," said Laura. "The man who loves his fellow man like a beloved pet can't just stand by when his creations enact oppression. So he creates agents to justify acting in their defense." "Maybe," said the Farshnook. "But as I say, I am a thoroughly different person to the Farshnook who did this." "I know," said Laura. "He would be the one holding my leash, wouldn't he?" The Farshnook spat. "Git! So arrogant, so powerful." Then Laura asked, "Can I trust you?" Farshnook sighed. "Honestly? Probably not. I am a hot-headed, idiotic manipulator. The question you have to ask yourself is, am I worth the risk of keeping me alive to do your bidding?" Laura came up behind him and placed her hands around his neck. The Farshnook closed his eyes and returned him and Laura to Laura's throne room. He sang to himself as he waited for the death blow to come. "Farewell and adieu, dear fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu, dear ladies of Spain." Gavin entered the throne room, had a quick word with Laura, then shot the Farshnook 6 times in the back of the head with his quantum oscillator. Lucy and the Logicio staggered into the Seg hat laughing. Sally looked up from the controls. How did it go? Lucy beamed. We did it! We actually fucking did it! That is every major country in the world helped to support its citizenry and ready to accept diplomatic relations with Queen Laura. We've won! The Logicio smiled a small smile of satisfaction. I'm glad you're happy, my dear. Oh yes, my faithful chauffeur, said Lucy, as she put her arms around Logicio's neck and stared into his piercing blue eyes. How many times have you saved my life now? The Logicio chuckled. Lucy kissed him on the cheek. Come to dinner with me. The Logicio frowned. I can't. I promised. I would never try and tame you. She laughed. It's okay. You've earned my trust. If I end the night at the end of your leash, well, I figure you've earned me. Logicio laughed. Okay. A meal out. But I want you to stay frosty. Don't go soft on me now. Never, said Lucy with mock seriousness. The Logicio gave Lucy a peck on the cheek. I love you. You know, you beautiful blonde goddess. Lucy laughed. Sally, you might have to bunk up tonight. We're going out and I don't know in what state I will return. Sally smiled. Lucy, I just want you to be happy. And I am, darling. I am, said Lucy, before taking the Logicio by the hand and leading him out the Seg hat. They ate at a small local place, and each ate a small local dish. The Logicio asked, Did you really mean it, what you said about me having earned you? Lucy tried to look innocent. Well, I figured you're a Logicio. I mean, I'm not getting any younger. You helped me end Laura's war for world domination before it even began. I mean... Lucy gave up and stared at the Logicio. I'm so tired. Tired of making friends and enemies and hard choices. Tired of having to start over every single universe. I figure we've got a Seg hat and we've got a family. I don't have to do this alone anymore. I know you want me. I've known since we ran away in a Seg hat what must be a year ago now. Well, 6 weeks, said the Logicio. Every country would go back 6 weeks, remember? Yeah, said Lucy, remembering. Every fresh start that felt better for the sense of continuity. I know you want me, and as far as I'm concerned, you've got me. Collar me, marry me, turn me into a mermaid and keep me in your fish tank. I don't care. I'm yours. The Logicio nodded. Thank you, Lucy. I appreciate it. I will look after Sally well for you. You will like your new home, somewhere truly worthy of your beauty and kindness. Lucy blushed and said, Do it. Whatever it is, do it. The Logicio smiled and he moved to a seat beside Lucy and started to strip her. Lucy smiled and quietly started undoing her shoelaces, remembering how they had proved the most awkward part of her last night with Laura. She kicked off her shoes and pulled off her socks. The Logicio unfastened her bra, and in a moment Lucy's breasts were on show for everyone to see. His deft fingers swiftly unfastened a zip, button and buckle holding her trousers on. Lucy stared at him as he pulled her trousers down to leave her naked in the restaurant, and idly wondered what her new life would be. It was exciting, giving up control, trusting this man to decide her future. And then the cable ties bonding her hands and feet. For a blissful moment, Lucy was okay with this. Maybe this was some kind of ultra BDSM thing. Then he stabbed a steak knife through her chest, and she swore words too coarse for even this publication to transmit. The Logicio dropped her into a black plastic bag and carried her into the kitchen, where he stuffed her into the fridge before striding back into the Saga. Lucy sighed. So Sally was now in the possession of a murdering arsehole. Well, that was a pity, but at least Laura would be able to lead the fight back against the Logicios. She stepped into the next universe. A gift from the Farshnug. "Hello," said a handsome young man. "My name is John, this is Claire, we're YouTubers, and, well, we're sort of leading the revolution against the Logicios. Do you need any help?" Lucy stared at the handle of the steak knife in her chest, and felt the restricting nature of the cable ties binding her hands and feet. "You could say that, yeah." Claire rushed forward with a knife and first aid kit. "What is your YouTube channel anyway?" asked Laura. I'm Miniature Nerd. I do a small series called You Only Live Once. You might have heard of it," said John. Lucy laughed. "I've sort of been busy, but it sounds interesting." Claire cut her hands and feet free and pulled out the steak knife and applied pressure to the wound. "I'm Lucy, by the way," said Lucy. "Lucy Dance. I was sent here by the Farshnook to aid and incite revolution." "Oh, cool," said John. "Well, you're very welcome to join us once you've healed from a stab wound and found some clothes." Lucy smiled. "Thanks." The Logicio entered the Seg Hat, whistling. "No, Lucy?" asked Sally. The Logicio smiled. "Oh, she's fine. I tried my best to kill her, but she's probably fine. Bastard Farshnook has plans for her. The best I could do was move her on to the next universe before she was ready, but no, she's fine." Sally smiled and idly played with the console. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you're smart," said the Logicio. "You figured this out the moment I entered. Lucy let me tame her because she yearns for an owner. But that bitch has your heart, and so you have always resented and watched me." "How right you are," said Sally. "But I do have a backup plan, a plan I enacted since before I saw you." "And what is that, little girl?" asked the Logicio. "You think some console subroutine will save you?" "Nah," said Lucy. The Logicio hovered in midair. "What the fuck is this?" "Allow me to introduce myself," said a young man in a three-piece suit. "I am Jeff Pottershark. I'm what you might call a fair-weather sylph. Not as hardcore as the Eglays, but not weak either. You told her how to use a quantum oscillator, remember? Well, she smuggled me in an infinity bag so I could practice and be here to stop you should you ever think of doing anything rash." "Check," said Sally as she danced around the console and pulled a lever, which opened the doors to reveal the black hole. "Mate." "You won't die," said Jeff. "Not for a long while, at least. But you might go through a few genetic rewrites. I wonder how long it will be before you become a woman." The Logicio stared. "Have mercy." Sally and Jeff laughed as Jeff used the quantum oscillator to carry the Logicio out the doors and force field of the Seg Hat and into the singularity of the black hole. The Farshnook opened his eyes in surprise. "I'm not dead." "Why would you be dead?" asked Gavin. "Because I teleported the Queen of England and Earth to the nothingness," said the Farshnook, turning around. "I did gather that was frowned upon." "Your heart was in the right place," said Laura. "You were just an idiot, and if I killed people for being idiots, Gavin would be dead 7 times over." "Hey!" said Gavin. "So, what now?" asked the Farshnook. "I just told you how to use the quantum oscillator," said Gavin. "I believe you wanted it?" "Ah, yes," said the Farshnook. "Bombs!" Laura stared at the Farshnook as he took the quantum oscillator and ran off. "You know, Gavin, I have a feeling I might end up regretting not killing him." Gavin shrugged. "You're Queen and you legally own him. No one would stop you." The Farshnook ran up to Jim and Anna. "Gavin gave me the quantum oscillator. Tally-ho, pip-pip, bombs away." Anna grinned. "Awesome, let's go blow shit up." Jim said, "I think I better follow you to ensure you don't blow up the world." The Farshnook led them to the laboratory where he picked up the plate of shit, the albino silk scroll, and his equipment. Then he started leading them out of the hotel. "Where are we going?" asked Anna. "To the bomb site," said the Farshnook. Jim said, "And what the fuck are we gonna do? I know the doctor once joked about triplicating the flammability of some alcohol with his sonic screwdriver, but we need bombs plural, and you have one sylph." The Farshnook grinned. "Just watch." They reached the bomb site, the runway just by the hotel, and the Varshnik spoke into his quantum oscillator like it was a microphone. "Hello, Stonehenge!" Sorry, little Doctor Who joke. I love that episode. "I am communicating to you now because my quantum oscillator is finding any speaker within the boundaries of Great Britain and Northern Ireland and using it to relay my message. I am the Varshnik. I know it sounds like a sneeze, but I work for Laura, Queen of Mirth. I'm sort of her pet eldritch abomination, literally, in fact. I have a collar and everything. The point is that I need you, Laura needs you, your country needs you, to come to Heathrow Airport, queue up before the two men and the naked woman in the collar, so you may be drugged, turned into a sylph, and made to defecate on the runway. I need sylph shit, and I need lots of it. I have one sylph, and I will do what I can with her, but please, we need you to come. I have the cure to being a sylph, and everyone will be cured once I have the shit I need. I know it's a long shot, but if you come, Laura will welcome you into her empire, and you will have food and drink. Also, if you're trans or even gender fluid, turns out the cure is literally the biological answer to that too, and in the good way, not the bad cure for gayness way. Seriously, come. There will be hot chicks and hot dicks, Varshnik signing out. Oh, and this message will repeat every 3 hours until I have the shit I need. Sorry. Jim stared at him. "And not in the bad cure for gayness way." The Varshnik frowned. "I'm not good at words." Jim shook his head in disbelief. Anna deadpanned. "Actually, I like the speech. I mean, I've got my 2 dicks. Trouble is, you need one more hot chick." There came a sound, like a stammering shh, and a mahogany door materialized before the trio. Sally opened the door. "Jim!" "Sally!" cried Jim in return. Sally exited the door and sized up Anna. "So who were you supposed to be?" "I'm his pet," said Hannah. "I know the clothes are atrocious, but he insisted I wear some." Sally laughed. "So, Mr. Fedora, you're in the business of owning women?" The Varshnik grudged. "Oh, for fuck's sake, the internet ruins everything, doesn't it?" Sally smiled. "I was asking if you wanted another one." "Oh," said the Varshnik. Jeff exited the seg hat. "Hey, it's the naked guy from breakfast," said Jim. Jeff smiled nervously. "It's Jeff, and I love your videos." Jim laughed. "No problem, pal. Where's Lucy?" Jeff frowned. Sally finished explaining, and then Jeff lifted him out of the force field, and here we are. "Oh, you certainly are worthy," said the Varshnik. "However, I fear your Lucy would not have wanted you to go with me. I am the Varshnik, and..." Sally stared at him. "You're the Varshnik?" "Well, I'm an incarnation," explained the Varshnik. Jim asked Sally, "Where's Lucy?" "Missing in action," said Sally. The Varshnik shook his head. "She's alive. In another universe, probably, but she's alive. The Varshnik wouldn't let her die, not yet." Sally took his hands. "Thank you. That's nice to know." The Varshnik smiled and said, "Honeybean, do you feel like having a strip?" Anna laughed. "He means he wants me conveniently out of the way so he can flirt with you, and so I can produce poop for his bombs." Sally laughed. "That's very astute of you. Is that a problem? I mean, is me and he..." Anna stroked Sally's cheek. "You know, you're very cute. I think you'd make a good pet. May the odds be ever in your favour." The Varshnik produced the requisite potion. "And as an added bonus," said Anna, "once you've found a potion, I provide refreshments should you get hungry or thirsty while you flirt." Sally laughed. Anna said, "Actually, strip me." Sally looked her in the eyes. "Really?" Anna grinned. "I like to be stripped. You may do the honours." Sally shrugged. "I thank you for the honour." Sally stripped Anna of her shirt, short skirt, bikini and flip-flops. Anna grinned goofily and went down on her hands and knees. Sally stared at Anna and remembered. "Amy, the Logisio used to keep her in his private pantry." "Jeff, on it," said Jeff, entering the seg hat. The Varshnik asked, "Your Logisio had a private pantry?" "Oh yeah, girl in every port. And we visited lots of ports," explained Sally. "But they all came willingly." "I bet they did," said the Varshnik, disgusted. Jeff led out 57 naked, good-looking young women. "I figured it didn't make sense to leave the rest of them in there." The Varshnik stared misty-eyed at the naked women. "Shit machines! You must remind me to cure them all afterwards before offering them to sign up as cattle for the good of the queendom." Hours passed as Jim, Jeff, Sally and the Varshnik talked. During that time, cars would pull up and people would get out. Some would ask where to go to join Laura's empire, but most would cheerfully drink the potion, strip naked, and join the growing crowd of naked, beautiful women whose sole job was to shit on the runway. The first night was so successful that they decided to continue it through the night, then the next day, and finally the rest of the week. Finally, Laura sent a special envoy to speak to the Farshnook. Speak with the Farshnook and encourage him to do something besides stand over beautiful women already. The envoy was gladly received, as the Farshnook enjoyed his one-night stand and enjoyed taming the women so they might join the flock, but regretfully decided to stand vigil over his flock. There was a knock on the mahogany door. "Come in," said the Farshnook. Laura entered the Saga. Sally was curled up in a corner of the room, and Jim and Jeff were playing a complex Japanese card game. The Farshnook farted with fright. "Farshnook, I appreciate that I asked you to make explosives, and you set about getting the raw materials. I appreciate that I asked you to find me more cattle, and you found me more cattle," said Laura. "You're doing a good job, a very good job. I think you can afford to, I don't know, actually make the bombs now?" The Farshnook frowned. "But I like my job here. People turn up, I tame them. It's fun." And I'm glad you have found job satisfaction," said Laura. "I like butts. I am the queen of butts. That's how this fest started. But you are an eldritch abomination with a quantum oscillator and the ability to manipulate to manipulate people. You can be more. I am your queen and your legal owner. I will garrison this position and see that your silk harvest continues, but you need to make the fucking bombs." The Farshnook asked, "Can I return afterwards? Just to watch?" "Yes, you can watch in your spare time," said Laura. "Just make the fucking bombs." The Farshnook sighed and strode out of the door of the Saga. Laura followed. The Farshnook raised his quantum oscillator and said, "There, you happy?" Laura wondered what he was talking about, but then she saw that the entirety of the tarmac beneath the sylphs had blown up. I mean, okay, so had the arms and legs and some of the faces, but they could heal, that was the point. Laura marvelled at him. "The shit is the bomb?" The Farshnook shrugged. "With the correct source of ignition, yes." "Okay," said Laura. "Since I've finally got you doing stuff, can you sort out our power issues?" The Farshnook whistled into the Saga. Sally blearily raised her head. "Yes?" "Huge coil of wire and gigantic magnet," asked the Farshnook. "On it," said Sally. Laura glared at him. "You woke Sally." The Farshnook shrugged. "She likes to help." Laura asked, "What happened to Lucy?" "Bastard Logisio betrayed her, but she's fine in another universe, most likely," said the Farshnook. "And you've adopted Sally," said Laura. The Farshnook tried to find the right words, then gave up and said, "I don't know. I think I'm just a caretaker, a safe pair of hands until Lucy returns, but I like her. She's a good girl." Sally arrived, pulling a trolley on which sat a massive spool of wire and a massive magnet. The door widened to let them pass. Laura asked, "Are you okay?" Sally caught Laura's gaze and said, "No," with real emotion. "Well, we can talk about it whenever you like," said Laura. "Thanks," said Sally. I'd like that." The Farshnook was muttering to himself. Compensate for the spin of the Earth and galactic orbit, then he opened two portals. He bonded one end of the wire to the top portal and the other end to the bottom portal, then spun it so the wire hung down in a great coil, leaving a hollow cylinder of space in which, poof, the magnet would now fall indefinitely as it entered the bottom portal, only to fall from the top. "There you go," said the Farshnook. "Free infinite electricity. I can set these up anywhere, even round the moons of Galilee." Laura stared at him. "If I could actually get you to do what I wanted you to do, you could probably take on the Logicios by yourself." The Farshnook laughed. "I got the idea from Tom Scott, brilliant YouTuber." Sally asked, "Since you've solved climate change, do you want to go find Anna?" "Oh yes, good idea," said the Farshnook, and he went off to retrieve her. Jim Sterling emerged. "Everything all right?" "Yeah," said Laura. "Keep him busy." Got it, said Jim. And he ran over to the Farshnik and said, "You know we've got horses and mermaids and pterodactyls." Anna regained her senses. "Oh yeah, they're bloody brilliant." "Do you reckon you could build armour and weapons for them?" asked Jim. "Show me," said the Farshnik. From there, the empire of Laura, Queen of Mirth, grew and grew. There was free food for everyone, infinity bags provided homes for everyone and made travelling the world easier and easier. Doctors and nurses and scientists became more common thanks to memory guns. The Sylph pills offered new ways to live and new ways to love. The society became more liberal as the shame that held it back and repressed it was exercised. Trans and gender fluid people ceased to have any discrimination or dysphoria because the cure to the Sylph pill was the answer to their problems. Conventional cattle farms were abandoned as a new consent culture demanded a sustainably sourced Sylph meat. The pace of climate change was slowed to a crawl, and gradually the damage started to be undone as free green electricity and sustainable Sylph farming turned back the carbon clock. Laura herself was a just and fair ruler. She encouraged grassroots democracy to flourish and let most countries within her empire have a relatively free reign as long as they practiced feeding and housing the poor for free and sent what men and women they could spare off to join the great global navy, cavalry, infantry and air forces. This they largely did gladly, as it was so easy and because those who didn't faced the Farshnik turning up in his Saga. Always the great ships of the Logicios loomed overhead, a warning of the stakes of failure should any mishap show weakness, and the Logicios would regularly try and assassinate Laura, the Farshnik, or Jim. But never Gavin, because seriously, who looks at a long-haired rock star and thinks, "You are training to be a master with the quantum oscillator and are a massive danger if left unchecked"? Then the Farshnik came to Laura with a mad idea. "Dragons," said Laura, incredulous. "You seriously expect me to believe you can turn people into dragons?" The Farshnik looked Laura right in the eyes and said, "Yes, dragons." "How?" asked Laura. "How is that at all possible?" "Ah, the complicated part," said the Farshnik, and he starts pacing the room. "So I googled myself and I found something really interesting. There's a key stream in this universe that is someone who writes fiction that coincides with reality. Well, he's written stories about my life, about you, and he's met you, in fact. Alexander Gordon Johannes, it's his name." "And," said Laura, the name drawing a blank, "and he wrote a story, well, a script, following a different Farshnik, whose name is William Dixon Wright," said the Farshnik. "It's an interesting read, and one thing that struck me was that there is an episode where the Farshnik's future female self, the Unleasher, reunites with the Farshnik's old dragon from before his and, well, my fall. And then this dragon blasts a sylph called Goldfish because this William fellow had a nasty sense of humour, and she becomes a dragon." "So what you're telling me," said Laura skeptically, "is that you read a piece of fiction where a dragon turns a sylph into another dragon and you think that means you can make dragons?" Farshnik laughs. "Laura, he wrote this very conversation. This is some serious keystream shit going on here. He's legit. Though you do have a fair point, we don't have a dragon to make a dragon, but we do have a stag hat." Laura raised an eyebrow. "Go on." "The Logicios hate artificial intelligence," said the Farshnik as he paced. "These are super nerds, remember. They've seen how many times that goes wrong, and so they don't build cats. That is technically systemic, green nothingness, habitational transcendence. They grow them." The Farshnik glanced at Laura to make sure she was still paying attention, then continued. "They take the smartest of sylphs and they make them smarter. They have these devices called logic lancers, and they're a bit like memory guns. They fire concentrated logic right at the brain, allowing for super fast learning." The Farshnik paused to clear his throat, and then continued. "Except the thing about people is we are beings of logic that have grown up inside bubbles of logic, and we can think logically. That's a problem because the smarter you get, the more logical you become, the easier it becomes to see how logic connects everything, and knowledge is power, right? The Varshnik pauses and looks Laura right in the eyes as he says, they start to control the fabric of reality with their minds. The Varshnik starts pacing now, excited. The Logicios love this and they encourage this. Soon these flesh and blood sylphs are like I was in the nothingness, like the technoids are inside their metal machines. They become beings of pure logic and energy. They grow the seg hat around them and accept pilots because, despite being powerful super beings, they are still sylphs. And they'd like to be submissive and take orders. But then anyone who gets a bit feisty and doesn't run away to join the Architects of Chaos gets effectively lobotomized and slaved to another seg hat heart to run the reality decks, the virtual reality decks, say. The Varshnik finishes and pants excitedly. If a logic lance can turn a sylph into me, then with the right programming, it can turn them into a dragon. Laura thought for a second, then asked, could we make seg hats? Well, I suppose so, said the Varshnik, but I'd rather make the dragons. Then make both, said Laura, and get Gavin to help. Varshnik whined, but Gavin's a rock star. He's cool. And what do you have against cool people? Asked Laura. School, said the Varshnik. You try being an all-powerful deity trapped inside the body of a nerd as the cool kids beat the crap out of you. It's not fun. Gavin makes music based on video games, and he's nice, said Laura. Work with him. Fine, said the Varshnik, but if I end up atomizing him out of here, it's on your head. And lo, a Seghat production line was started up, and a Dragon Corps was created. The Varshnik and Gavin not only avoided atomizing each other, but became an effective team. Now the great ships overhead were scared. They sent wave after wave of monstrosity to try and destroy or weaken the Empire, but each wave failed. Finally, as the new Seghat and Dragon Corps reached war levels, Laura decided it was time to go on the attack. People of the world, this is your queen, Laura. I have decided that enough is enough. We are now at war. We will take on the Logicios and we will win. Now is coming the month of hell. We will be at total war and I want everyone working their hardest to destroy the Logicio menace once and for all. I say this to you, one way or another, in victory or in defeat, there will be buts. So fight well, my subjects, for this month we dine in hell. Every missile left that could be fired with reasonable accuracy was aimed at the Logicio ships. Pterodactyl squadrons went on bombing runs. The Seghat Corps materialized infantry and cavalry fleets inside the ships. Mermaids carried supplies back and forth between the different countries in the Empire. Dragon Corps did fly-by flaming. Jim Sterling led his security services on a raid into the Logicio warships to liberate Sylph so they might join in the fight back. The Varshnik, Sally, Jeff and Anna were a roving shock force, taking out weapon systems and stopping the Logicios from flying away or calling for backup. Laura and Eve sat alone in the throne room, watching the carnage unfold out the window. This is it, said Laura. This is why I'm queen, to be the neck this axe falls upon. A female Logicio in combat gear with rich black hair materializes behind Laura. Check and mate. Knight takes queen. How right you are, says Gavin, decloaking. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Gavin Dunn, and I am the miracle of sound. The female Logicio starts screaming and is sent writhing to the floor in pain. Laura turns, staring at Gavin. What are you doing to her? Localized sound field, said Gavin. She can now hear her every slightest bodily vibration at a volume that... The female Logicio stops writhing and screaming, motionless. No sapient creature can tolerate without going unconscious. Gavin scoops the body of the unconscious female Logicio into an infinity bag. The Varshnik will have fun with this one. Laura continues to stare at Gavin. Remind me never to piss you off. Gavin laughs. The war is over within a month, and Laura's empire holds together as countries are restored to greatness. Gradually, her power becomes more ceremonial than dictatorial, and capitalism returns. Sylphs are sold as pets, including the thoroughbreds, pterodactyls, and mermaids. Then comes the day when the United Civilizations of the Multiverse is formed. "Hello," says the 8-foot-tall great white shark with robotic arms and legs. "You may call me Nicola. I am an ambassador from the galaxy. I was told that you are the queen." "Well, yes," says Laura, shaking the hand of the cyborg shark. "I am Laura, queen of butts and mirth and the earth. Pleased to meet you." Nicola thought for a second and said, "I believe we will get on well. I too like the tale." Years pass, and the Queendom of Laura is an integrated part of the United Civilizations. As the Forever War goes on with fresh savagery, as the Logicios are now emboldened by their allies. Lucy Dance has gone on to be a figurehead for the United Civilizations, having been turned into a sylph by the Great Farshnook, so she might lead every front in the war personally, and her owner is none other than the goddess of light, QraHrkpZeFs, or Kate to her friends. A visitor arrives for Laura, as she sits in her now much more ornate throne room to record the podquisition with Jim Sterling and Gavin Dunn. Laura falls silent as the visitor enters. She is tall, blonde, beautiful, and dressed in a gorgeous three-piece suit. She says to Laura, "Lucy Dance sends her regards." Laura stares. "But you're her, aren't you? You look just like her." "I'm a hatchling," said the visitor. "Lucy can't make it because, well, she's busy saving the multiverse and fighting for sylph equality and, all that good stuff. She never forgot you. Never forgot that night, and she never forgot Sally either. I know because I have her memories. In many ways, I am her, or more accurately, as I am a sylph. Yours. If you want me, that is." Laura stood up. "You're serious?" The visitor laughed, blushing. "Yeah." The end. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Alexander Gordon Johans. That was the second part of my 28,445 word long podquisition fanfic, Laura Queen of the Earth. It was also an introduction to the world of the Farshnook, Lucy Dance, and Logicios and sylphs. I hope you enjoyed it. It's kind of been an experience to write. Certainly an experience to record. And this is weird and cool, and there will be videos on this story, kind of dissecting and analysing my writing in light of this story, because I think it's kind of like, it's good to have a set text to refer people to, and I think this is a good set text to kind of refer people to if they want to know what's going on in this future episode talking about my writing. And yeah, all I will say is, again, kind of seriously, go check out the podquisition. I will have a link to the podquisition because seriously, listen to it. It is awesome. The community is awesome. I love it. I love it. Okay, and fuck Konami. Fuck Konami. Hi. Don't forget to like, comment, favorite, and subscribe. And also, I think austerity is bullshit. I think that we need a universal basic income, and we need to stop investing in London.